McKenna.
And I'm Kenny, and we're from
Together Unplugged.
And today we're here to teach you how to play which game?
Qwixx.
So Qwixx is a simple dice game, but each decision is crucial. And the more numbers that you cross off in the game on your scorecard, the more points you score. And so we'll get into that in a minute and show you how to add up the points and everything. So the first thing that I want to say about Qwixx is that it's a Mensa award winner, which is pretty cool. So that award is given out to games that are original, challenging, and well designed.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And this is all of those.
And also it's a game for 2 to 5 players, and it's rated for kids 8 and above. But if kids are a little bit younger, what can they do? They
can either partner up with their parents or an older sibling.
Right. You partnered up with Mommy, didn't you, when we played?
Because I'm only 7.
So let's start by going over the scorecard and how play works with that. So on the card there are 4 colors, red, yellow, green, and blue, which correspond to the dice that we have. But first, let's talk about the end of the game. So basically throughout the game you're going to be crossing off numbers on each row. And at the end of the game, what you'll do is you'll count how many X's you have on each row, and then look down here in this key, and it shows you how many points correspond to the number of X's that you did in the row. Here's a quick example of a card at the end of a game that we played. And we'll talk in a minute about why we have some horizontal dashes in there. But as you can see here, in the red row, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 X's. And down here in the key, it tells me that 6 X's equates to 21 points. So I got 21 points for the red row. And then I just did the same for each row, counted the number of X's, looked at the key, and that told me how many points I scored for each row. And then I had to subtract 10 points off my score because I had to what's called do forfeit 2 times. And I'll explain that here in a minute when we go over the game. And then there was my total. Okay, so let's go through the gameplay. So the first player rolls. And what happens with each roll is actually everybody in the game is involved. So there are 2 actions that can take place. The first one is an action that anybody can be a part of. So that is involved with the 2 white dice. So what you do is you roll and you call out the sum of the two dice. So in this case, if it were my turn, I would do this roll and then I would call out 5. And 5 would be what we call the all play number. So that means anybody in the game can go on their card and cross off a 5 in any row, as long as a row is not locked. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So any player, even though I was the roller, any player can cross out a 5 if they want to. But here's what we have to understand in the game. Here's something that's important. Is that if you cross off a 5, that means you immediately have to put a horizontal line through all the rest of the numbers that are to the left of the number that you crossed off. So that wouldn't be too bad in the red and yellow. You'd forfeit 3 numbers, but you really wouldn't want to do that in the green or the blue because you'd end up forfeiting a lot of numbers there. So, okay, so at this point, anybody in the game can cross off a 5 if they want to in one of their 4 rows. Probably not the best choice because of all the numbers that you're going to forfeit. So if this were not my turn, I just wouldn't take place in the all play. And that's okay. If it's not your role, you can choose whether or not you want to cross off the all play number. And you don't lose anything if you don't. Now, but me as the roller, it being my turn, I'm either going to need to record the all play number by crossing off a 5, or I can do the second action, and only the roller gets to take part in the second action. So what I do here is I take the dice one at a time, going in order of the rows here on the card. So I'll take the red dice since it's the first row, and I'll put it next to the 2. Okay, so and I have to keep looking at the sums and deciding if I want to cross off that number. So here we have 6 or 7. So I can decide if I want to cross off a 6 or a 7 in the red. So 6 would be the best if I wanted to do that, but really I could have already crossed off a 5 in the all play, and that would have been better, and I already chose not to do that. I don't want to do any of the red numbers. Let's look at yellow. We've got a yellow 5 or a yellow 6. Same situation pretty much. We're looking at the 5s and 6s. Not a great choice. How about green? Green, I've got either 6 or 7. So we're way down here, way over to the right on the row, and I don't want to cross off any of those. So let's look at the blue. We've got either 5 or 6. Again, none of these choices are really that great. So what I probably would have done is, after I looked at all that, I probably would have gone ahead and just crossed off one of these 5s, either the red or the yellow. Or I do have the choice as a roller of not doing either of the two options. So to recap, if it's your turn, if you're the roller, you can either cross off a number with the all play, or you have the choice of what we call the combo number, which is when you combine either one of the color dice with the white dice, and you see what those sums are, and decide if it's a number that you want to cross off on the board. So you as the roller, you're the only one who has the option of doing that combo number to cross off. Everyone else in the game can only do the all play at that time. All right, so again, my options were not so great here, but I'm either going to cross off a red or a yellow 5 because I've got that all play number, or I'm going to have to come down here and cross off a forfeit. I don't really want to use a forfeit this early in the game. Those are things, forfeits you end up kind of having to use frequently near the end of the game, so I want to conserve those, even though this is not my favorite thing to have to inactivate 3 numbers like that in a row. It just kind of is a sacrifice that I have to make this time. Okay, so now let's say it's the next player's roll. It's not my turn anymore, and they roll the dice and they call out the all play number of 11. And that's a pretty good all play number. And since it's not my turn this time, the only choice that I have to cross off a number is the all play. The person whose turn it is going to have the chance to do the combo numbers again, but since it's not my turn, I only can do the all play if I choose to. I don't have to do the all play with it not being my turn, and I would not have to cross off a forfeit if I chose to not do the all play number again, since it's not my turn. Only when it's your turn do you have to either do the all play number or one of the color combinations, and if you don't, you have to do the forfeit. So, but again, this with an 11, that's pretty good. So I can do either the green or the blue. Doesn't really matter at this point in the game. I'll just go ahead and do the green, which means now the 12 is inactive, so I will not be able to cross off the 12 later in the game. So now the player whose turn this was would go through and they would decide, do they want to take any of these combo numbers? So they could do red 12 or red 11. That wouldn't be a very good option. They can do a yellow 10 or yellow 9. Again, not a very good option. They could do a green 9 or an 8. That's not bad. So if this were their card, a green 9 would be pretty good. Then they would only have to inactivate just that 10 right there. So that would be their choice. And they could also, they could do a blue 9 or a blue 8, which if I had the choice between, if I was them and I had the choice between a green 9 or a blue 8 or 9, I would definitely do the green 9 because I'm only losing one number right there, the green 10, where if I did the blue 9, I'm losing all 3 of those numbers right there. So that would, the green 9 would be the better choice. Okay, as a reminder, the object of the game is to get as many X's as you can in each row. So let's fast forward after, now that you've learned about how you cross out the numbers and how when you have to inactivate numbers to the left of those, and talk about kind of how it plays out later in the game. So if this looks confusing here to you, let me just explain that in this game, at one point I crossed off this 3 and then I inactivated the 2. Later on in the game, I crossed off the 6 and had to inactivate these 2. As the game progressed, I ended up crossing off the 7, the 8, the 9, and then I got the 11 later before I had a chance to get the yellow 10, so I had to inactivate that 10. So what you want to do is you want to lock a row. And the way that you lock a row, you can see that in this game I ended up locking the green row, is you have to have at least 5 X's within the numbers, not counting these numbers in here. So just out, and there's a box around those numbers in the locks. So out of the rest of the numbers out here, you have to have 5 crossed off. So once you get this number in here and you have at least 5 X's out here, then you can cross off the lock and that row becomes locked. And that means nobody else in the game can cross off any numbers in that row anymore, and that color of the dice gets taken out of the game. So at that point, we would only have these dice remaining. Okay, so how does the game end? The game ends when either of two things happens. Either when two rows are locked, or when one player uses all 4 of their forfeit spaces. If either of those two things happen, then the game is over. As soon as the game ends for anybody, it's over for everyone. So it was time for me to add up my totals. And so in the red, I got, let's see, I got 6 X's, and so that was 21 points. It was the same for the yellow row. In the green row, I got 8 X's, and so that was 36 points. And in the blue row, I got 7 X's, and so it was 28 points. Now, throughout the game, I did have to forfeit 2 times. That was 2 times when I was the roller and could not take the all-play number or the color combination number that I had the choice of doing as the roller. And so I had to forfeit 2 times. And each forfeit, as it shows here on the card, is worth a negative 5 points. And so I had to put 10 there that I lost. So my 4 rows added up to a sum of 106 minus the 10, and so my final score was 96.
And that is how to play Qwixx. And remember, if you're younger than 8, partner up.
And even though it might seem a little bit confusing when you hear how to play, after you play a game or two, your whole family will get the idea pretty quickly, and you'll have fun strategizing, and also the fact that everybody gets to play whenever anyone rolls is pretty cool.
If you got the April box, we also included laminated scorecards and dry erase markers so that you don't have to buy new ones and you can enjoy the game longer.
So we hope you guys have fun playing Qwixx together as a family, Unplugged. Thanks for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, we would love to have you join the Together Unplugged family. If you enjoy hanging out with your family, playing board games and card games and dice games and doing other hands-on interactive activities.
Subscribe to Together Unplugged!